What's going on, Wash Game? Today, we're going to discuss our two-step soap basics. We're going to show you how to mix our acid number 1, our soap number 2, machine draw rates, and how that affects your dilution ratio coming out of the gun. All right, guys, let's start it from the top. Today, we're going to be discussing the mixing of acid and the mixing of soap. We mix these at 3-to-1. Now, what does 3-to-1 mean? 3-to-1 means 3 gallons of water, 1 gallon of chemical. When you do this ratio, you're getting 4 gallons of ready-to-use soap. When you have 4 gallons of ready-to-use soap, you take 55-gallon drum, you divide that by 4 gallons, and you get 13.75. This is 13.75 gallons of concentrated chemical mixed with your water so that you have ready-to-use chemical on site, ready to wash trucks. Now let's go ahead and talk about RO water. RO water is basically filtering water so that it's completely clean. When you have completely clean water and you're mixing that with your acid and soap, that ensures that your ready-to-use chemical is as strong as it can be. And when you do this, let me show you an example of how you can save money with an RO system. Instead of mixing it at 3-to-1, let's say we mix it at 4-to-1. This is only going to mean that we're going to use 11 gallons of concentrated chemical instead of 13.75 gallons of chemical. So if you're saving around $25 a batch, then if you extend that, say you're filling your tank up 3 times a week, you're saving $75 a week using RO water. Times that by 52, and you do the math yourself and look what money you're saving, and your RO system starts paying for itself. All right, guys, let's talk about draw rates. So when you're using a 5-gallon per minute machine and you're just using a regular general pump brass injector, you're going to use a 2.1 orifice for your 5-gallon, 2.3 orifice for your 8-gallon, and through our experience, typically we get somewhere around a 17-to-1 pool. When you're running a remote system or a two-step gun, you're going to be getting a 10-to-1 draw ratio. All right, guys, so if any of y'all are still confused on how to get your dilution ratio coming out of the gun, I just want to do a quick little explanation of how we got there. So if you're mixing your chemical at 3-to-1 and it's coming out of your machine at 17-to-1, you take the 3, you take the 17, you multiply them by each other, and that gives you a 51-to-1 draw rate. Same thing down here. Instead of 17-to-1 though, we're pulling 10-to-1. So that same chemical we mixed at 3-to-1 is coming out of your gun at 30-to-1 instead of 51-to-1. Instead of multiplying these numbers, you're now multiplying these numbers to get this number. Guys, so to conclude, mixing it at 30-to-1 is obviously going to be a lot stronger batch. When it's coming out of the gun at 30-to-1, it'll benefit you in colder climates and turning a bunch of aluminum on a new account. 51-to-1 is going to be a weaker batch, but that's still good for your maintenance washes, your weekly, your bi-weekly, even your monthlies. All right, guys, so let's get to the fun part. Let's start mixing. Now we're going to get to the fun part. We're going to start mixing chemicals. Now, before you get started, make sure you got on a long pair of nylon gloves, chemical resistant. You got on some closed-toed shoes, and you got on some glasses in case you get splashed. It's just like lab class in high school. Now, our friends over at Hydrochem were generous enough to send us over a couple of their new chemicals that we're going to go ahead and dilute the same ratios we discussed earlier. Our number 1 chemical they sent over is going to be our number 1 Shockwave, which is a hyperconcentrate. And our number 2 chemical, our soap, is going to be called Surefire, and it's a hyperconcentrate. All right, so first we're going to get started on mixing our number 1 acid, Shockwave. Now we're going to pour in, as you see our measuring bucket here, we're going to pour in 1 gallon of acid, and we're going to top it off with 3 gallons of water, RO water. Now that's going to give us our 4 gallons ready to use. All right, so before we get started, I want to discuss what this is. This is our RO water. We have this across all of our locations so that we ensure quality water is being mixed with chemicals and we're getting the strongest mixes possible. Here you can see we have an 1,100-gallon tank, just like at other locations, which stores RO water. So when we need to mix chemicals on demand, all we have to do is turn the ball valve and we're mixing RO water. All right, so let's get to mixing the acid. Go and pop this lid off. I'm going to pick it up, and we're going to hit that 1 gallon mark. All right, now we're going to get our water turned on. We'll stick this down in there so we get a good mix. Crack that sucker on, get it mixing. This is going to make us our 4 gallons ready to use. So if you look here in the front, we're getting pretty close. 2.5. Just about there. Get my hand on this thing. And there you go. It's ready to use acid. Now what that means is you're ready to stick your straw in this soap, get to downstreaming. Now we'll start mixing the soap. Over here, we got the same operation. I'm going to pop the lid off the soap. Let's get to one right about there. All right, put our lid on that. Put our soap back up here. Crack that sucker on. All right, same process, just in there stirring. Look at it in there just mixing. Yeah. We're gonna get this thing up to about 4. Right about there. All right, so that's 4 gallons of soap. Now, if you see, I already got these white buckets labeled. I just use the measuring buckets for purpose. These are the buckets that we'll take on the job site and show you how this soap performs. You got your number 1 labeled Shockwave. You got your number 2 labeled Surefire. Let's go ahead and get these things put in their proper destination. That's your number 2. And that's your number 1. Look at that color. All right, guys, so we got our number 1 mixed up. We got our number 2 mixed up. We got our lids on them. All that's left to do is drop our straws in them, take them to the job site, and start washing trucks. What's going on, guys? We're out here about to get washing with the chemicals that we mixed up earlier. So this is the number 1 acid Shockwave. We already got the straw in it. Whenever we get done applying this, we're going to have to come back, drain the line, go into number 2. We're only doing that for, usually we run 2 engines. We're only doing this just so you can kind of get a representation. This is going to be the 5-gallon minute machine we're using. We're using a 2.1 injector. This line right here is going back into the acid, number 1. So let's get it cranked up. All right, guys, go ahead and pull this plunger here. Let's get that low pressure going. Still running at about 1,500 PSI right here, 1,800. All right, that should be it. Oh, yeah. Woo! I'll be down. Look at that cut. All right, guys and girls, that concludes it. We applied the number 1, applied the number 2. Now you got a clean truck. Simple as that. Please check out our next video. It's going to be Fleet Washing 101. It's how to wash everything the right way. Anything from lime trucks, concrete trucks, reefers, garbage trucks, all of it. Check us out. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you on the next one.